local source, WCJB TV 20. This is TV 20 News at 11.
Good evening. Two men from Gilchrist County are missing and presumed dead tonight after they were apparently swept away by strong currents in the Suwannee River on Monday.
We're told the two men only entered the river to try to save a young boy from getting swept away. But TV 20's Trent Kelly says strong currents have kept divers from having to locate the two men's bodies.
Guys, it all started around 7 o'clock last night as a group of friends and family members were playing on the shores of the Suwannee River near the Log Landing Conservation Area. But after one of the man's stepsons fell into the water, the two then tried to jump in and save the boy. But because of strong currents, the rescuers soon needed rescuing themselves.
It's in a bad stage right now to try to do any diving, swimming, or any kind of searching, and at this point it's very dangerous.
Fighting strong currents and cold water temperatures, divers from multiple agencies spent the day Tuesday trying to find two Gilchrist County men who were reportedly swept up in the Suwannee River on Monday after trying to save a young boy from the very same fate.
Well, we certainly believe that the conditions of the river contributed to this incident. According
to the Gilchrist County Sheriff, 38-year-old Al Melendez, who friends say went by the name of AJ, and 19-year-old Haymont Mathorin, who went by the nickname Ravi, were both playing by the river along with Melendez's 8-year-old stepson.
They're playing with a remote-control boat, and the boat somehow got lost, and I think they went to try to recover it.
But that's when the stepson started to drift away in the current. Both Melendez and Mathorin jumped into the river trying to save him.
And at some point, I think because of the conditions of the river, they may have misjudged the current.
Other bystanders were able to save the young boy, but not the two men. Dive teams from both Columbia and Dixie counties have been out here all day looking for any sign of the two missing men, but so far they say they've had no luck.
The speed is quite drastic at this point.
Members of the search and rescue dive team from Dixie County say the river's conditions have forced them to call off their underwater search.
Combination of speed of the water, temperature of the water, visibility and everything, it's just too much for the divers to work in.
Forcing the sheriff to come to a grim realization.
Due to a lot of professional opinions, our efforts have gone from a search and rescue mode primarily to a recovery.
Now, because those conditions are too dangerous for the divers, officials say the next step will be to drag a chain across the bottom of the river in hopes of recovering those bodies. Now, meantime, I did speak to Melendez's employer tonight, Lars Anderson of Adventure Outpost, who called Melendez an ideal employee, always willing to help out anyone. He told us that Ravi was dating Melendez's daughter, and the two were expecting their first child. Trent Kelly, TV 20 News.
Take a first look at the weather forecast tonight. Those high water levels there on the river must have been augmented at least slightly by the rain that we had today.
And Bill, you can see how fast that current is moving along the Suwannee. When will that river and the Santa Fe go down?
It's going to take several weeks before we see any real precipitative drop in that river level as we head into the next several days. It should remain fairly steady, but we're really not going to be adding to that, which is good news because the rainfall today was only about 3/10 of an inch. Back out to the north and the west near Tallahassee, they had much more rainfall. We're starting to see the skies clear out as we head through the evening hours here. You can see some mid and high clouds still holding on, but the rain has moved away, so no more rainfall in the forecast. Even along the coastline, it's pretty dangerous there. We still have small craft advisories through the early evening hours here, and then overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning back out near Daytona Beach, so we'll be watching for that. So overnight, just a few clouds building back in, but lots of sunshine for the next couple of days. Chilly mornings are on the way, maybe even some freezing temperatures, or at least close to that. We'll have your forecast in just a few minutes.
Residents in the town of Inglis voted tonight to dissolve their police force. Tonight's general election was the election of 3 commission seats and 7 amendments. In a 232 to 167 vote, Amendment 3 passed. The amendment stated that all the fire and police services would be transferred to Levy County and the deadline to have everything set by September 30th. Currently, there is no set date as to when the agencies will actually due to shut down. A lawsuit has been filed in Levy County by several citizens contesting the referendums.
Well, it's called wage theft, and Alachua County commissioners took a step tonight to put an end to it. The commission voted unanimously to direct staff and the county attorney to draft a plan to combat wage theft, which happens when an employer fails to fully pay an employee. Under the proposal, these employees could appeal to the county to mediate the dispute, and the county may also provide the next step, an adjudication process that could result in a financial judgment against the employer. Commissioners will take up the plan in 2 weeks.
A Reddick family who is currently living in tents after losing their home to a fire will soon have a new house. The community raised more than $50,000 so that Habitat for Humanity could build a new home for the Lettingham family. Army Sergeant Richard Lettingham was deployed to Afghanistan while his family cooked, bathed, and slept in tents and mobile homes after they lost their home to a fire about a year ago. Now Lettingham is back home and helping out with the construction. The outpouring of volunteers, many of them veterans, has left the family speechless.
How do you say thank you when it doesn't seem like it's enough?
I never expected this. The level of gratitude is so huge, there are no proper words to describe it.
The construction plans are 2 weeks ahead of schedule, and the new house should be completed sometime in May. Visit our website, WCJB.com, to find out how you can volunteer.
Well, it's that time of year again. Tens of thousands of race fans are descending on Gainesville tomorrow, getting ready for the 44th Gator Nationals. Workers spent the day today putting the finishing touches on the raceway. And TV 20's Duke Carter reports it's a long road before the drivers tackle that quarter mile.
They're laying down the rubber,
making sure the surface is good,
and getting their T-shirts ready. Okay. A lot. All for Gator Nationals. David Stapleton with Morgan Lucas Racing is out getting the trailer set up before his team arrives.
This is a hospitality area. We do all of our clients, and we do around 7 race teams here.
And with 7 race teams, Stapleton has to move very quickly.
As fast as you want to get out here, the quicker you get out here, the quicker you go home.
Which includes setting up the skirt.
I'll help keep a lot of the dust and stuff from the race team coming over.
And the roof. And it takes 4 guys and several hours to set up the tents.
Almost all this set up in approximately 6 hours.
Taking last-minute orders for tickets.
Nate Cross with Gainesville Raceway, the company that puts on Gator National, says they are finishing some last-minute changes, like double-checking the lighting on the track, as well as making sure their workers have proper credentials.
I hope that a lot of younger and newer fans get to come to our event to experience it for the first time.
When races start, we just hope we have a great weekend and that we do our sponsors proud.
Preparation of Gator Nationals. Duke Carter, TV 20 News.
Well, the event officially kicks off Thursday and runs until Sunday. Gator Nationals officials say last year about 150,000 people attended. They plan to have Alachua County Sheriff's deputies out to keep everybody safe.
We're covering the state tonight. There's hurricane season, but now it seems almost like there's sinkhole season. A suspected sinkhole is forcing a Florida church to find a new home. Leaders say there are cracks in the walls, uneven floors, and a hole in the ground so large that a landscaper actually fell in. Rick Rittner has more.
Cracks along the wall and its floors caving in. A North Naples church is on its last leg.
Just not safe anymore.
Pastor Roy Shuck says his faith community church has been caving in for months, forcing him to close its doors on Sunday.
It is devastating because, people have poured their life into this property.
The damage gets worse every day. Some cracks are a half-inch wide, while radar images show parts underneath the building that have a 12-foot drop.
It's not good. The floor in the main auditorium has sunk about 4.5 inches in an area.
Pastor Shuck reached out to their insurance company, but engineers there don't want to pay for the damage.
State Farm sent out engineers, and their report came back that there was not a problem.
This forced the church to file a lawsuit against State Farm after geological engineers say the building certainly has a sinkhole. While both sides will meet in the courtroom next month, Pastor Shuck says it's sad to see this day arrive.
Didn't want it to come. We knew it might come. It was going to come someday.
Well, mediation between the church and State Farm Insurance is now set for April 15th.
State Attorney General Pam Bondi has asked a court to allow dozens of suspected bodies to be exhumed at the former Dozier School for Boys in the Panhandle. The bodies are thought to be those of former inmates who were killed or died while incarcerated over the decades. Bondi says she's seeking closure for the families.
It's so important to these families. We know that atrocities occurred at the Dozier School of Boys back in the early 1900s, and many of these families need closure, and it's only fair to them that they are able to hopefully identify their loved ones and get their remains.
No charges are expected to be filed because, after all this time, the only charge possible would be first-degree murder, and proving such a crime would be difficult.
Coming up, it could soon be harder to scalp tickets in Florida. Find out why when we come back.
This is TV 20 News at 11 with Paige Beck, David Snyder, meteorologist Bill Quinlan, and sports with Chris Price.
Welcome back. Paperless tickets may be the way of the future for live concerts and sporting events.
But maybe not in Florida. Whitney Ray tells us there's a push by some at the state capitol to block electronic tickets that can only be transferred using the buyer's credit card and photo ID.
Professional sporting events, concerts, and plays. The cost of admission, one ticket. But what you do with your ticket after you buy it may be in jeopardy. Chris Grimm with Fan Freedom says the advent of paperless tickets has made gifting or reselling tickets nearly impossible.
If I buy a ticket, I have to show up with the credit card I bought the ticket on and my photo ID, and they're non-transferable.
Grimm is supporting a bill guaranteeing buyers the right to resell or give away their tickets without having to lend someone their credit card or photo ID.
It's not the delivery method that concerns us, it's the restriction on the ticket that we have a problem with.
But venue managers and companies that sell tickets say the paperless movement protects against scalpers.
Brokers scoop in. They actually try to sell tickets before I even put them on sale.
Ron Spencer manages the Leon County Civic Center. Spencer says electronic tickets keep scalpers from buying up all the good seats and inflating the prices. He says that's why some artists offer electronic tickets for the best seats.
It's a very, very small percentage of the tickets sold. Only 1/10% of all tickets sold are paperless tickets.
But Grimm says it's a growing trend.
Right now it might be, the floor and lower bowl are restricted tickets, but in the future it could be every seat in the house is restricted.
How tickets are sold in Florida and what fans do with them could be decided this legislative session. In Tallahassee, Whitney Ray, TV 20 News.
The bill passed the House and Business Professional Regulations Subcommittee today. Its next stop is the Regulatory Affairs Committee.
Well, we started off the day with rain, but things certainly changed by the time we got to sunset.
Bill, will the sunshine return tomorrow?
I think we may still see a few high clouds coming in from the west, but it's going to be pretty nice, but it's also going to get chilly. We'll have more on that in your forecast in just a few minutes. Well, it actually turned out to be a pretty nice afternoon after we had the rain this morning. Clouds breaking up slowly through the day, and then for the evening turning out pretty nice. Now, we have cooled off a bit. The actual low temperature last night was only 63 degrees, but right now the low temperature for the day is 51, which is the current temperature outside after getting close to 70 this afternoon. We'll be again back into the upper 60s to near 70 for tomorrow afternoon with abundant sunshine, but that's before another cold front arrives, and that'll bring in some much colder air, but it does come in dry. There's no chance of rain in the forecast. 50 degrees right now, Lake City. Cool 48 at Cross City, 58 at Cedar Key, where this afternoon they were at 59, so they really haven't changed very much. Kind of cool out there in the island community, and 51 degrees in Gainesville at this hour. So some fairly mild air holding on for a while, and the clouds beginning to break up for a short bit, but I still see some high clouds beginning to roll back in here on that southwesterly flow in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, but the rain chances are virtually zero over the next several days until we get to the beginning of next week. That's when we might get a little bit more of a rain chance kicking back in. Now, we still have the flood warnings continuing across the region. You can see Gilchrist County and also back into Suwannee County and Columbia County. So be aware if you're heading out to the rivers. It's, as we just showed you a little while ago, it's still a very dangerous place. River flood warning here continues. Three Rivers Estates now at 21 feet, continuing to drop off and will slowly head through minor flood stage here over the next 4 to 5 days. So it's going to be a while before it drops below flood stage. One spot that is actually below flood stage but in the action stage is right along US 19 at Wilcox, 9.5 feet. In this yellow area here is the action stage, which means it's still very dangerous. It just hasn't come up over the banks, which is where the beginning of minor flood stage is for these river levels. And they're going to stay fairly high for quite a while. Good news, we don't have a lot of rain to cause these rivers to rise any further, but down the line we're still going to be watching this very carefully because it will take very little rainfall to cause that problem to reappear quickly. As you look out there from high clouds moving back in, all the rain is pushed well down to the south, high pressure building back into the north. Here comes that next cold front. It's kind of still attached to our storm system heading up into eastern Canada, but as that rides on through the southeastern U.S., it comes in dry, but it will bring in some much colder air building up back in here. You can see this storm system beginning to wrap up, still some moderate to heavy snow, but one thing that's going to change our cold pattern over the next several weeks is the fact that this snowpack is going to be melting very quickly over the next couple of weeks, and then as we get into the heart of spring, I think our cold chances will be disappearing very quickly. There goes a cold front moving away, a secondary cold front moving in just ahead of this high pressure. As this high pressure builds in for early Thursday morning, we're probably going to see some fairly cold air sticking with us as we head through the daytime hours. We'll go with 42 degrees, clearing skies, a bit cool out there for the overnight hours, northwest 5 to 10. Tomorrow, 71 for high, a lot of sunshine through the daytime hours, but it will be a bit on the breezy side. Northwest 10 to 15, maybe a few gusts close to 20 miles per hour because of those winds. Smoke-craft advisory over at Cedar Key and smoke-craft caution at St. Augustine, so even the coastlines can be a bit on the dangerous side. Temperatures in the mid-30s overnight into Thursday morning and Friday morning, but warming up nicely as we head towards the weekend. And of course, the weekend is here for your racing pleasure as we head into the next several days.
Cool mornings.
Save that for last one.
Oh, okay. Right. Thanks, Bill.
For a group of Florida Gator football players, it was the same stadium, but a very different goal.
For the past 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, this group of players played in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium to win games for Florida. But Chris Price is here to say today they had a much different goal in mind.
Well, they just want to play on Sundays, David. Pure and simple. Their eligibility done. It's on to the dream of trying to make it in the NFL. Coming up, we'll show you how some of your favorite former players from the past few years fared at Florida's Pro Day. Plus, the Florida Gator baseball team played in-state rival Florida State tonight. Highlights from McKeithen Stadium right after this.
Do you want to talk to Omar?
He did some things for you.
Huh?
He did some things for you.
He did some great things.
Omar, what does a 40-yard dash matter to a defensive lineman?
I have no idea. I don't think I've ever ran a 40 on a field, but the scouts say do it, so I guess you got to do it.
There you go. Players trying to do whatever they can to convince scouts they belong in the NFL. And while this group of former players spent Saturdays trying to prove that in front of 90,000 fans, today giving their efforts in front of a much more select crowd. Scouts and coaches from all 32 NFL teams coming out to Florida's Pro Day at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, watching a much more talented group than they've seen the past couple of years. That includes players like safety Matt Elam, linebacker John Bostic, tight end Jordan Reed. There's Mike Gillisley as well, all who might be drafted in the early to middle rounds. But it also includes players like Omar Hunter and Frankie Hammond Jr., who didn't perform as well on the field, but who are still hoping that just one pro team will give them a chance.
A lot of people question my size and my strength and my speed, so I just want to come out and show them that I can't do all those things.
Jordan, you have any second thoughts about staying or leaving, or how difficult a decision was that?
It was a difficult choice. I talked with my family and we all came to a conclusion. I'm just happy to be here today and I'm glad with my choice.
Excuse me, John, how you think you did today?
I think I did pretty good, man. I think I did my job today.
That's what Pro Day at Florida should look like. If we do a good job recruiting and evaluating and developing our players, then all 32 teams will be here, and that's what happened today.
You know, competition is so important in our organization, in our team, and you're looking for competitiveness. You know, they're in an opportunity to play and compete in a bigger stage like this, so you look at them that way.
There was a who's who of former Gators looking on as well. NFL players like Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver Riley Cooper, 2006 national champion Brandon Seiler, who spent 6 years in the league with the Chargers and Kansas City Chiefs. And then there's Chris Rainey, who had eluded many a would-be tackler, but still hasn't seemed to escape a checkered past. Arrested for the second time in Gainesville back in January, Rainey released from the Pittsburgh Steelers on that same day. And although Rainey eventually pled no contest to disorderly conduct, he still believes he'll get another shot to play in the NFL and says his agent has been fielding calls for his services.
already been talking to other teams?
My agent been doing all that.
Meanwhile, the current group of Gators are getting ready to hit the field again for spring practice. The first of 15 sessions takes place tomorrow afternoon, leading up to the Orange and Blue game on April 6th. And as often happens following a good season, the biggest questions involve replacing some of those players you saw a minute ago. Finding guys to fill the void left at linebacker by John Bostic and Jelani Jenkins. Finding a new feature running back to replace Mike Gillisley. Despite those losses, offensive coordinator Brent Pease says he wants to see his team making improvements this spring.
They understand the language again and the tempo and the speed, and our kids did do. I mean, they did some good things. Now we weren't as consistent. I think we were overachieving and did some good things at the right times. But we got to find more consistency. We can do that stuff on a drive basis.
College baseball tonight. The Florida Gators hosting Florida State. The first of 3 games between these two teams. Seminoles out on the warpath early, already up 1-0 as we move to the 4th. Giovanni Alfonso, a single to right. That just drops in. 2 runs come in to score for the Noles. They're up 3-0. Bottom half of the 4th, the Gators do put a run on the board, although it is courtesy of a Seminoles error. Should be a routine out on Taylor Gushu, but yeah, a drop ball there. Harrison Bader scores, so the Gators cut the lead to 3-1. Trying to keep runs off the board as we move to the 6th inning. Alfonso up again, trying to put one over Connor Mitchell's head, but Mitchell on his horse here and tracks that one down. Reels it in. Nice play out in left field by Mitchell, but later in the 6th inning, Ryan Harris actually hurting his own cause. A bases-loaded walk here, and actually Josh Delp hit by the pitch there, and that brings in the final run of the game. Final score, Noles win 4-1. These two teams meet again in Jacksonville later this month. In college lacrosse, the Florida Gators beat down Lehigh tonight at home, 18-2 the final. Midfielder Nora Berry led the team with 3 goals. The Gators now 10-0 on the season. Moving to college basketball, the Gators have followed up an SEC regular season championship with several individual conference honors, and it starts right at the top with the head coach. Billy Donovan named SEC Coach of the Year after leading the Gators to their 4th outright conference title. It's actually the 2nd Coach of the Year honor for Donovan in the past 3 seasons, and he was not alone among the Gator Award winners. Senior forward Eric Murphy named All-SEC First Team after hitting better than 46% from the three-point land during the season, averaging more than 12 points per game. And then 3 other Gators named to the All-Conference second team. Mike Rosario, Patrick Young earning their first All-Conference honors. Kenny Boynton earning his 3rd award, and some other awards for the Gators. Patrick Young named SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year as he pursues his degree in telecommunications. Also, he and Scotty Wilbekin named to the All-Conference defensive team. And finally, Michael Frazier named to the All-Freshman team. Now, how about adding an SEC tournament title to all those awards?
You're playing for a championship. So to me, I'm not worried about the seeding part of it. I'm not worried about anything else but the fact that we get an opportunity for 3 days to potentially play for another championship. You know, the regular season's over and done with. That's behind us. That's already been celebrated, talked about. That's done. This is what's in front of us right now.
In pro sports, the Seattle Seahawks made it official today. Percy Harvin introduced as the newest wide receiver. The Seahawks giving up 3 draft picks for Harvin, including their first rounder this year to get the 2009 NFC Rookie of the Year, a player who led the Vikings in catches last year despite missing 7.5 games with an ankle injury. And in the NBA tonight, Dwight Howard making his first visit to play the Orlando Magic after 8 years with the team. Los Angeles Lakers against the Magic, and Dwight on fire from the start. Nice pass from Kobe Bryant, big slam from Howard. And the Lakers lead 9-5. Then later in the second, Steve Nash driving towards the goal again, finds Howard underneath, big slam, and then a little kiss for Nash there. The Lakers leading 47-38. All Howard all the time here. Again from Kobe, again inside. 39 points, 16 rebounds for Howard. And the Lakers cruise in this one 106-97, which means our producer Sam will not be happy with that final score.
No, she hasn't been happy a lot this season.
She has not, no. Miami Heat fans happy. The Heat picking up their 19th straight win tonight, beating the Atlanta Hawks. And more NFL news, the Miami Dolphins land one of the bigger free agent prizes, getting Mike Wallace from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So another target there for young quarterback Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, a splashy addition to the Dolphins.
I used that one at 6. You got it. Can you at least courtesy me on that one?
I didn't, yeah.
No, just...
Tell us about Gator baseball. They're going to turn things around here.
My goodness.
What do you see?
Well, and shifting positions a lot tonight, too, is Kevin O'Sullivan, which tells me that he's still trying to sort things out right there in mid-game. Wasn't able to figure out enough preseason, and that's what you're going to do with the young team. You're going to try and have to move pieces around a little bit, and, of course, Sully, never afraid to put some extra pitchers in there as well. You referenced Captain Hook.
That's right, Sparky Anderson.
Yeah.
He's the modern-day version of it.
Yeah, Sully does that, too.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
You know, David, when you were on vacation last week, he had hockey on pretty much every night.
Every night.
Really?
Every night.
That's awesome. That's great. I was watching.
No hockey. No hockey this week so far.
All right, Bill.
All right, take a look, see what we have, the extended outlook, and looks like the temperatures are going to cool off a bit through the overnight hours, but the racing will be here. Yeah, wow, that was a really pitiful race car there.
Paige, you could have done better.
I don't know if I can back that up, but yeah, the racing is here for the rest of the week, and it looks like beautiful weather, cool in the morning, warmer in the afternoon.
I'm going to go before you guys do something to me, so.
That's all for the TV 20 News at 11. See if you join us again tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Good night.